A WWE star had their teeth knocked out during a match. Plus, another UK star could be making an NXT debut next week. And a botched Raw spot led to a scrapped segment. We'll pick that apart in a sec. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Rough night on NXT for the wrestlers, that is.
Oh, no.
So we got to see Hank and Tank doing their thing.
Yeah.
Hank Walker, Tank Ledger.
Yeah.
Big boys.
Big boys taking on two other big boys, JB and BJ, as we call them on the podcast, or Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, to give their real ring names.
They're friends again, isn't that a relief?
They are friends again.
It was during that match that Ledger took a stiff boot to the face from a double team, and the cameras caught him spitting into his hand before we realised that there were teeth coming out of his face. His teeth knocked out. I thought it was one, but upon closer inspection, it could have been a couple.
There are many qualities I lack to become a professional wrestler: bravery, confidence, athletic ability,
teeth,
and so on. No, that's one that I do have. But one thing that this has taught me that I also lack is composure, because fair play to Tank. Because if that had happened to me, I wouldn't have just tucked it calmly away into my ring gear for later on. I'd have gone, my teeth come out. Stop. Hang on. I'd have thrown up the X4 myself. I'd gone, no. This wrestling business is too rough.
One has lost their teeth. We saw Ledger.
Paul,
a word.
Actually, it's Sean, isn't it, in NXT? Sean.
Mom, go get Dad.
No, that's scary. And he did really well, I think, to finish the match and just not freak out.
I don't know whether they called it and cut it short, because basically Ledger fires up, starts battering, and then shortly after that takes the double finish from JB and
he had to take the finish as well.
Yeah.
But he did it.
He did
on him.
What a guy. Do you know what? I like Hank and Tank as a team.
They're a fun pair of everymen. I'm worried they're gonna turn on each other down the line.
You could say that about
any tag team.
Clip that off. Every tag team ever.
I'm worried they're going to turn on each other.
They're a fun tag team, but I'm worried they'll turn on each other down the line.
You know what? I like them as well, and I'm equally heartwarmed that the other tag team in this match are, as you mentioned, now friends again, and weren't fooled by that. My voice broke. I'm so emotional. They're friends again, and they weren't fooled by that devious Kiana James.
Thank goodness.
NXT.
It was a rough night for Kiana James, not only watching her former fella back with his bezzy,
driving,
choosing bros over her. Also, she lost out to Lyra Valkyria in the opening round of the NXT Women's Title Tournament.
Yes, she certainly did, but it wasn't the only match that took place in the first round of the NXT Women's Title Tournament. The other one was Tiffany Stratton versus Gigi Dolan. Now, this one I found, Tiffany's my pick for the whole tournament, but only if she got past this first round, because if you looked at the brackets, were Gigi to win this match, it would set up a possible second round match with her former Toxic Attraction tag team partner JC Jane. So I thought, are they going to go that way with it? But it turns out no, they didn't, and Tiffany Stratton got the win.
Next week, Roxanne Perez, JC Jane, as you just said, Fallon Henley and Cora Jade all in action. It's looking like, and Ross and I were speculating on this yesterday, it's looking like this could be Tiffany Stratton's tournament to lose.
He's a big Tiffany fan as well. He had a Tiffany epiphany before many of us did. That's what she's really good. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm also picking Tiffany. Are you also picking
I'm feeling, if it's not Tiffany, then I think maybe Cora Jade.
Cora's a great shout as well. In fact, she was rumoured not long ago to be one they had an eye on for a possible main roster call-up, which could still happen down the line.
It could still happen, but the tournament happens for her next week, as does the return of a talk show. The first time on NXT off of America. Look at that.
What does he do? All this? He does all the poses. He's got about 12 poses, man.
he's a nightmare to make in 2K23. You don't need to. He's already in it. But the Supernova Sessions, hosted by Noam Dar.
Noam Dar, yes, indeed. It's going to be back on next week's NXT, but the first time it'll have been on, I guess, American, the default brand NXT, not NXT UK.
Saying NXT UK was not the default?
Well,
how dare you?
But he'll be welcoming his guest Dragon Lee to the show, which is almost certainly going to, set up a match between the two.
You would think so. Yeah, this is where it's going. So with Noam Dar, formerly of NXT UK, now officially part of NXT off of America, possibly another name may come with this. I'm going to throw this out there. A photo has emerged. There it is, of Noam Dar and his former tag partner from NXT UK, Shah Samuels.
East. I'm not southern enough to conjure the voice that he does. Well, it's just his voice, isn't it? It's not put on.
It's his voice.
I've met him out of character, and he is that loud and cockney. Yeah, he really is.
He's a very cockney man.
Yes, they were together. He's over there visiting. Well, is he visiting?
Now, he's been working as a trainer on and off for the past few months, so he's been doing bits with WWE. But I just find the timing of this particular photo quite interesting, with the announcement of the Supernova sessions next week, in which, during the UK version, Shah Samuels would play a bookie. And he'd do the odds on a whiteboard. It's a great bit of business. So I wonder whether this is where, potentially, we see Shah Samuels called up on screen for NXT off of America.
You know what? At first, I thought that sounded incredibly UK indie-rific, that sort of gimmick, the bookmaker thing. But now that I think about it, that would really work in NXT.
I think it'd be great.
We head backstage now. Shaw's doing the odds. Someone's annoyed because he's giving them rubbish odds.
Yeah.
It writes itself. Oh, fair play. I'm all for it. Get him in. Sign him up if you haven't already.
Get him on there. We will cheer that one. We will cheer louder than Jacksonville did on Monday night. So you may have noticed that there was quite a lot of piped crowd noise, on Monday night.
Yes.
Arguably more pipe than a Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. This was confirmed, I guess, or talked about by Worked Wrestling on Twitter, who said that production at Raw from Jacksonville, Florida, was aware of the lackluster crowd responses compared to this weekend's events. We heard it, we being Worked Wrestling, we heard it described as a no-win scenario. Either they used the filler crowd noise or they broadcast the silent crowd on TV.
If you watch that Brock Lesnar Cody bit, look at my face! That bit.
What do you see?
A big bruise under my right cheek. You'll notice that the crowd is vociferously booing, but doing so whilst not moving and not moving their mouths.
Yeah, they're kind of mooing, aren't they? They're going,
As famously in Jacksonville, they moo.
I think obviously it wasn't the best night in terms of crowd response. Part of it's got to be the hangover from, as mentioned in this tweet, in fact, from San Juan, Puerto Rico, which was an unbelievable crowd, and proves that wrestling can pay off when it's done in markets that are not visited as much as maybe they should be by the major companies.
Well, this is one lesson that I think everybody is relearning in 2023. Obviously, WWE doing gangbuster business in Puerto Rico, not long after Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, AEW selling a ridiculous amount of tickets for Wembley, and Impact announcing a tour of Australia. So there's lots there's lots to be said for that tapping into that international market, which we're seeing more of here. But then it means that the crowds locally aren't as plussed.
Yes,
it seems.
Yes,
not everywhere, but certainly in Jacksonville last night.
You have been a ring announcer all over the place.
I have.
What's the best city? What's the best town for crowd reactions you've worked in?
It's Newcastle upon Tyne.
Don't do the thing. Don't do it.
North Wrestling! A week on Saturday for Let the Cannons Fly 4. And our biggest show ever, July 15th at the Walker Dome. Featuring Gangrel, Scotty Too Hottie,
and the Bad Boy,
and Joey Janela.
I genuinely swear down that wasn't a link.
I
wasn't. He just took the ball and ran with, snatched it from me and ran with it.
I grabbed the ball and ran into a hedge.
I've got no beef with plugging North. They're a wonderful wrestling promotion, and yes, the best crowds are from Newcastle upon Tyne.
They are indeed.
NorthWrestling.co.uk
for tickets.
Really threw you a softball there.
And that's good. As soon as you were saying it, I was like, here we go. I'm excited. I'm excited. Fightful Select adding to the piped-in story, say WWE heavily piping in audio during the Lesnar and Cody Rhodes segment led to several within WWE echoing online reactions saying that it wasn't needed.
They would rather it was shown to be a more muted crowd response.
Yeah, so a mixed response. A lot of people in WWE saying, look, it's either that or we just have like the sound of nobody reacting to Brock Lesnar. And you could tell that nobody was reacting by the way, there's a real difference in inflection that you can very much hear when the crowd's piped in, because they're not having to talk over a loud noise. Right. So they're a bit quieter, and Brock was a bit more muted at points. So you could tell that it was a heavily piped in crowd on Raw for seemingly obvious reasons.
I agree with the source from Worked Wrestling who described it as a no-win scenario, because on one hand, it does kind of open yourself up to mockery. Like, no one's responding to your show. But on the other hand, the fake piped in noise really gives the whole show kind of this air of artificialness. And it's an odd one. It's a tricky one.
It was a few tricky waters to navigate, in particular during the return of Becky Lynch. Trish Stratus mocking Becky by playing her music, and then Becky's music playing again, to which Becky came out, hit her with a Bexploder, sent her packing, and that was the end of the segment. However, Fightful Select are reporting that Becky Lynch was supposed to cut a promo after that attack to presumably move the story along a bit. However, her mic was cut before she could even get to it.
Yes.
So that she ended up not being able to do the promo at all, and they just sort of moved on.
And she punched out a production guy backstage. Do you see this on Instagram?
Did.
Yeah, it was a shoot attack. No, they're clearly having a laugh on there backstage in the old WWE.
There's no concern, whilst Becky obviously was going to cut a promo, but that was scrapped when they basically moved away to the next segment a bit too quick.
Yes.
So it was binned off. But they say there's no concerns because there's plenty of time to still tell the Becky Lynch Trish Stratus story in the weeks to come.
Yeah, Fightful saying that, emphasising here that the feud is set to run for a while. Presumably, I guess, until SummerSlam?
Maybe Night of Champions. I think Night of Champions is maybe too soon.
Or I know she's Irish, not British, but Money in the Bank. Everyone would love Becky Lynch to
I
win.
think that'd be great. Money in the Bank at the O2 with Becky versus Trish.
The problem now is now that we're getting Money in the Bank and All In, every big match that possibly enters my brain, I'm like, they should probably save that for the England show, shouldn't they? Really? But,
save it all for the English show. Undertaker has one more match. Yeah, let's save it for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Save it for the O2. Probably for the best. More wrestling news throughout the day with no piped-in crowd noise at cultaholic.com. Are you twitching tonight?
I'm right. So here's the thing. We are certainly scheduled to Twitch tonight, myself and Owen, at twitch.tv/cultaholic. I feel quite obliged to, because I've missed the past few just from booking time off and stuff. I'm feeling a cold coming on. I don't want to.
What's going on?
Also, I started work today at 6:30 because the cats woke me up and I couldn't get back to sleep from feeling slightly under the weather. I just came in and I was like, I'm not going to get back to sleep. So I'm finishing to... Right, here's a shoot. Here's a peek behind the curtain.
Here's a shoot.
I finished today at 3, right? The stream's not until 6. What do I do for those 3 hours? I'll probably see you later on twitch.tv/cultaholic.
Do a lovely stream where you sit at home with a cup of lemsip and
Yeah, but what about
have
Owen?
a nice snuggly time. He can come and keep you company.
Yeah.
You can give me in bed together, Laurel and Hardy.
But we live in opposite directions now from the office. He'd be going out of his way.
That's true.
I'll probably I know what I could do.
Go on.
In that little gap in between, because if I finish at 3, they'll be quite empty, shops and that. I could take myself to Wetherspoons and have a little pub tea. Just sit on my own in the corner, scrummy scrum.
That's lovely, little scrummy pub tea.
Then I'd have to go all the way home and then all the way back.
There you go.
I might do it.
You should go to an Italian restaurant with your goddamn laptop.
Oh, see you later on.
Love you, bye.